Hello, it is Tuesday. It's the 12th of March. I'm Monita Rajpal. This is CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. Making news today. Morning Mass at St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican is coming to an end. 115 cardinals from all over the world are in attendance, and their only task, choosing the next pope. The secretive process begins after Mass, away from the camera's gaze. From here in St. Peter's, the cardinals will then head into the Sistine Chapel, chanting prayers as they go to start the papal conclave. Dan, thank you for that. Dan Rivers there in Rome. Well, first he severed the hotline. Now he's threatening to wreak havoc on South Korea. North Korean leader Kim Jong-un has said if there is a conflict, his forces should wipe out the southern island of Bengyang. He didn't stop there. He said the island, which is on the South Korean side of a disputed sea border, will be turned into a sea of flames. 5 coalition soldiers have been killed in a helicopter crash in Afghanistan. The chopper went down in a rainstorm in the southern province of Kandahar. The cause of the crash hasn't been revealed, but we do know that there was no enemy activity in the area at the time. An attempt to ban big sugary drinks gets a sour reception in a New York court. The city had hoped to ban sodas in containers bigger than 16 ounces, that's half a liter. But just hours before the ban came into effect, a New York judge ruled it was invalid. The city's mayor, Michael Bloomberg, has vowed to appeal the ruling. 10 years ago, no one had ever heard of SARS until 10 years ago today. On March 12, 2003, the World Health Organization issued a rare global alert on the fast-moving virus that was spreading across Asia and the world. 780 people died and 8,000 more were infected across 29 countries. It was 4 months before the deadly virus was contained. It may lack the big city buzz of Sydney and Melbourne, but the Australian city of Canberra has finally had its day in the sun, celebrating 100 years since it was named the nation's capital. But it was a bit too much sun for some. About 5 Defence Force personnel wilted in the searing heat. That wasn't such a problem for Australia's hard-working politicians, though. The bubbly was flowing to keep their thirst at bay. Phew. You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong. I'm Monita Rajpal. They came out in force to express their support for Britain. Now the British Prime Minister is expressing his support for the Falkland Islanders after 99% of them voted in favor of remaining a British overseas territory. We're joined now by senior international correspondent Matthew Chance. And Matthew, this has been quite an emotive issue for the Falkland Islanders, both for Argentina as well as for Britain. Was this a surprise, this result?
I think the only surprise was that 3 people, according to the official figures, voted against the Falklands maintaining their relationship with Britain, with the United Kingdom. It was a 99.8% people in favour, 1,672.
Matthew, thank you. Matthew Chance there in London. Switching gears now, last week, European giants Manchester United were knocked out of the Champions League, and can fellow favourites Barcelona avoid the same fate on Tuesday? We cross over to Amanda Davis in London for more on that. Amanda.
Manita, you don't need to remind me about last week. Wasn't pleasant for a Manchester United supporter there against Real Madrid. But yeah, today is...
Pedro Pinto, CNN, Rio de Janeiro.
I'm not sure whether Pedro's been allowed to bring that trophy back home, Manita. I don't know what he's done to deserve it particularly, but...
The next thing you know, we're going to see it on eBay. No, Pedro. Kidding. He's very, very honest. All right, Amanda, thank you very much for that.
See ya.
You are watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong, looking to heaven from underground. We meet the Chinese Catholics who worship in secret. We'll have that just ahead. Stay with us. Watching CNN News Center live from Hong Kong, and our top story this Tuesday is the start of the papal conclave as cardinals from around the world gather in Rome to choose the next pope. That decision will be watched eagerly but quietly by Catholics in China. Many of them have rejected the state-sanctioned version of their religion and choose to worship in secret. David McKenzie reports.
Every Sunday they come, villagers, mothers and children, packing a church with no pews and no roof.
We take you to the UK now, where winter's returning with a vengeance. Meteorologist Mar12 is at the International World Weather Center on this late-season winter storm. It's supposed to be, well, almost spring.
Almost, right? And they definitely had a taste of spring just last week across much of northwestern Europe, Monita, but now...
All right, Mari, thank you very much for that. Well, from fashion to fame, David Bowie has mastered it all. He's had a fantastic voyage and a career spanning more than 50 golden years. And now, after a decade in the dark, Bowie is back.
Stars are never sleeping.
The next day is David Bowie's first album since Reality in 2003, and it's doing pretty well. The Next Day has topped iTunes charts in at least 21 countries. And as Bowie begins a new chapter, we look back on his musical beginnings, all the way back to school, when the absolute beginner made friends with two boys who were also destined for fame.